Yes. Shall we start it again? Yeah. So, good afternoon to everybody, or good evening. So let's have roll call, please.
Yes, thank you. Chair Etmond,
Yes.
present. Thank you. Vice Chair Gupta.
Here.
Commissioner Farren.
Here.
Commissioner Fong.
Here.
Commissioner Hall is absent. Commissioner Mujica Beavers is absent and Commissioner Noguez.
Here.
Do we have any emails or calls from public?
So now would be the time to ask for public comment from any members of the public that would like to make a comment about anything not on the agenda, and I am seeing none.
Okay. So we can start. I think I'm going to start with my report, chair report. It is going to be a short but hard meeting tonight. We definitely are missing our liaison, and our prayers and everything goes with her. And we are trying to make her proud of us that we can handle it. And I'm hoping that everybody has read the who we are and what we are doing and what our duties are as Heritage and Arts Commission. So at this time, I have to ask all of the commissioners, including Azita, if she comes, that just to step in and do what we are really want to achieve. We have decided to go and create ad hocs for each of the important things, and the ad hocs can get together or whatever and start working on it for the next meeting. We have some positive result out of it. So have you read our mission? It is quite a long document, but it was quite interesting. I even liked reading it because it is a good thing to always remember. So if Arjun would like to say a few words on this, please, because we were in a meeting with Patty about all this, please.
Okay, well, I'd like to thank Lee for taking over and stepping in and stepping up while Patty is away. And Lee was also at this meeting with all of us, with Jale and I and Patty. So I think the two things that I'd add to Jale's chair report is that we are considering a different kind of process going forward, which involves longer time to plan and develop and fewer meetings. And that's why the focus has been placed on ad hocs to give them time to get together, plan, organize, and draft materials that then can just be approved during the meetings. In this year, we have relatively few projects right now at this time. So experimentally going forward, we thought that we would try in the next couple of months to implement this plan and see how it goes. So the idea is that we would have our meeting, this meeting today, no meeting in February, and then meet again in March. I will say that if there is something that requires immediate approval or discussion, we can always call and ask Lee to hold a special meeting, which would presumably be relatively short and something that we could easily all, get a quorum together for. And you'll see, I think, when we go to the calendar, you can see here, the next meeting is slated for March 26th, 2024. So that's in keeping with this new, possible schedule.
Way of handling the
Right.
whole thing.
Right. And I endorse this process. I think, 4 weeks is not really enough time for many of us who are busy to meet and work and draft things and get together. In this case, in the immediate future, we have the Hunter Novak performance coming up, and that requires some planning, but I think having that meeting in March will be fine. There is some work to be done for the artist calendar as well, but again, an ad hoc can take care of that. And if there's any requirements that, normally the artist pays for their own reception, but if there are any special circumstances, we can always hold a special meeting for that as well. But I think really the primary thing that I want to stress today is the development, the revision and thought given to the public art selection panel.
Well, that is coming up.
Right.
In,
So that's what I'm saying. So I think
yeah.
2 months is a good amount of time where we can, address action item number 1 with an ad hoc,
Yes.
and then hopefully have a document of some sort or some materials that we can then consider and approve in the March 26th meeting, at which point, hopefully, it'll be at a stage where we can really engage the public art selection panel in a meaningful way and help us also going forward if we end up sticking to the revised meeting schedule, can help us shoulder some of the weight and the work involved with implementing our projects and so forth. Okay.
That's good. Since I forgot, before we get to the next, to number 1, is the fact that we are supposed to help with the concerts in St. Hilary, and it is coming up, and it is February 24th, which is a Saturday. They usually have it on Sunday, which makes it easier, but this time is Saturday. So please put it in your calendars, because we have at least 2 of us should show up. There are always nice things going on there. The concerts are really nice, but Dave Gotts would be needing some help. Now we can go to our 1, which is.
Question?
Oh, sorry.
Regarding all these ad hoc, and I think it's wonderful. I'm all for fewer meetings and getting more efficient in our work. Could you repeat what we are allowed to do with the public art panel, or, the interaction? I can't remember whether we're allowed to do it.
All right.
Okay.
Now, the thing is that since we had a lot of additions to this agenda, we really didn't put any of the bylaws and all the documentations that we need to make a solid decision on this. So
It's an action
whoever
item.
comes out
Yeah.
with volunteers with being the ad hoc in this, we will have Lee be kind enough to send all the documents to all three ad hoc members so that you can start from there.
Thank you.
So we talked about creating, now we want to talk about creating an ad hoc for and participant for this project in the works
Want to do the public art selection?
and for the public art selection and guiding principles and bylaws and goals involving forward to the panel.
Can I make a?
Yes, please.
So I think it's clear to us now that there are really only very few, maybe two PASP members who are active at this stage, Richard and Judith. And so the hope is that the ad hoc that we form would be able to kind of re-engage this idea of a public art selection panel and draw, you know, some more participants into the panel. I think when I first started here, there was a lot of discussion around the bylaws, and clearly there are, you know, there are two choices that we faced, and this is part of our meeting with Patty. Patty basically said that you know, if we looked at it this way, we either revise and form and grow the PASP to help us with the work and to bring artists and projects to us, which I think, you know, has been better, even though there's fewer members, or we jettison PASP completely, and private individuals who are interested can come to us and bring their projects. And of course, I think it would be incumbent upon us at that point to, if we did go that second route, to notify the public that this is something that's ongoing and to repeatedly notify the public that this is something ongoing as well. And I think either way, it's fine. You know, the nice thing about a public art selection panel is that we can, you know, create ad hocs that include members of that panel, or at least they can create an ad hoc that includes members of our commission. Sorry, and in that way, we are working a little bit more closely with people who can then also, we can delegate certain responsibilities to as well. I don't know if that's possible with a private individual or a private group, that delegating from the town, from a town commission like ourselves to them. I'm not sure how that works or if that even works. But the PASP clearly is a advisory and
It's a standing committee.
standing committee, you know, under the authority of the HNA, in which case we could then get them to help us with some of the work probably in a more clear and direct way without running into any problems.
They have been doing that, and
Yeah.
in some ways or other.
If I could speak to that.
Yes, please.
Having been here since the inception and the creation of this public art selection panel, there has been a very limited amount of participation. And those people that do participate is because they have a project that they want to put forward, and so they will commit to that. But in terms of, in general, that has not been the case. And I think that by virtue of having this subcommittee, that what we've done is we've limited the input from the broader community. So I think it would be far more productive, far more inclusive, and probably better in the long run to have public members know that they can come to us and work with us on whatever it is that interests them. And we would still essentially be the guardians, the gatekeepers, so that just nobody can just go, stick a sculpture on a piece of, public property. But we would be working closely with them, and it would increase our ambit, and it would increase the participation of the community. I mean, we've already established that we can do things, i.e. we've done the mural, we've done, the project that Thomas Jackson did. So people know that we know how to do something like this. And now we're going to have the benefit of the Hunter Nowak program, which is also increasing the kinds of projects that we do, right? Because now we're talking about music, right? And it would be great to have dance and theater and all of that. So I think it would be easier to bring people in when they know they don't have a commitment that they have to be here for every meeting and do something, but rather things that they are interested in, they could bring forward to us. We would talk about them and then form a committee that might even include even more people, because they would be bringing their own people in to help us, just as essentially Thomas Jackson did. He brought his crew with him to set it up, just as Vasco brought essentially the government involved from, down from the Portuguese to.
President.
Yeah, yeah.
They
exactly. And he was
usually
a
do
president.
that. The artists wouldn't like to.
I
work
just
with
would
us.
like to correct some of the history to it. PASP was created because we were getting a lot of input from the public, all kinds of things, and we needed them to evaluate and to help us and advise us. And there was fewer participation. I like to say that because they were not put on the agenda and we were not able to utilize all of their talent. They were applications and we selected them, and there were people joining, and we had commissioners going to the meeting. And I disagree with the history. I think it's very good to have the panel, which brought us the Thomas Jackson. And it's good because we try to get real artists with someone with artistic background for this panel to help advise us. So I think we need to evaluate further and not, the problem with just publicizing to the public and getting all kinds of proposals. We had a lot of, not so good proposals. And I think it's nice. And I'll tell you, the public art selection panel is popular with the public. I have 3 names that would like to join and cannot get it onto the agenda to discuss. But I understand the new direction, happy to work with it, but I think we can evaluate both sides.
I completely agree with you, and I have one person as well who is interested to be involved.
Well,
One way, whether in our group or in the public.
Yeah, so I think it's moving in the right direction, but I just want to make sure that we also had a public meeting. There were 38 people that came. They were interested in the public art. So I think we can build on the interests of the public, involve more of the public, but in a workable and more advisory role than just somebody coming up like, in the past, what has started was somebody, I want to do a project for the shoreline park. I want to put some tiles there and some rocks there. I mean, I think it's nice to have someone have a panel that's an advisory group, but that is all up to whatever the ad hoc
Well,
is going on.
I'll just like to say that I think that clearly there are some great points that Nora has made and that Victoria has made, and therefore I think the ad hoc will look into, what those guiding principles are for the PASP, because I think that was part of that by keeping it simple and limiting what it is that they are to focus on. I mean, as a vetting group, I think that's really helpful.
Mhm.
And then, maybe that's all there is. I don't know, but there's clearly pros and cons to having a group that's there. I mean, I will say that I have been contacted by, a half a dozen people already, you know, who are insistent on talking to me for an hour about their work and their time, you know, their projects and all this stuff. And that's really difficult, you know, that's really difficult. And so I think the panel, like it says here in the action item itself, we don't need to get into the current participants as much right now. I think it's great that there are people who want to join if we do go forward with a PASP, a revised PASP format. But clearly, I think the focus should be the guiding principles and goals moving forward for the panel. And then, once those are defined, we can then revise or tweak the bylaws as needed, you know, to make their work more efficient and meaningful for us if we decide to go that route. And that doesn't by any means, I think, limit public participation, because PASP can also be a conduit to people who are eager to participate in projects as well, and perhaps bring those people to us, and then we can then delegate responsibility among that group also. I mean, the public can like Thomas Jackson Project. I mean, clearly we welcome the public to come in and do what they can to help us. There's no way we could have done it without the volunteers who created those 700 individual, puffs. So
Yeah.
I think it's a great idea.
And actually, it's not either or. There might, from the ad hoc, there might be some new revisions and some alternatives, and that would be great.
I will ask Nora, since she's very familiar with the bylaws and the way, you know, the hierarchy and the authority. Is it possible for us as a commission to work with the public outside of any, you know, I mean, is there any, I mean, they can't attend a meeting, but they can work with ad hoc committees. Is that correct?
I don't see any reason why they could,
Okay.
because they're public.
Right. Right.
Yeah,
Just
this
as we
is
would go to,
public.
when we go to the lodge to ask somebody for their help or to a vendor or whatever. Okay. Well,
Once we have to start creating that ad hoc. And another thing I wanted to mention was the fact that Scott Yu, that you have met, and I have, he's the one who has a project for public art. I think I mentioned it a few times before, gave me his book. I didn't bring it tonight. I have promised him that once we have an ad hoc, you're going to be talking with him and tell him how he can write the proposal to bring it to us. That is, I think it is something that the ad hoc can do. I will give all the information about him to you. You can
okay, but
talk.
that's really the artist outreach, no? Number 2.
Artist outreach, yeah, I guess so. I always kind of think that this is only for the galleries, but that's, yes.
If I can be heard, I would just say that there is obviously a lot to discuss. I would volunteer to be part of the ad hoc panel.
Same here. Since we've worked on it from the beginning, so.
It'd be nice.
Would you like to be in the ad hoc or?
Sure.
So we've got 3.
We got 3, unless Trish, do
I'd
you?
like to be too, but
Oh, okay.
I do
Okay.
bring a different perspective. But it's
Well,
similar.
why don't you tell us what
I just
your
wanna
thoughts?
Go on record as a saying. I love the consistency of having the panel so that all presenters get the same questions, the criteria, the tee up, so that in the abundance of doing a good job of outreach and getting lots of interest, because we're doing outreach, a lot of visibility and there's articles, we get a lot of inflow, like you've had a lot of people coming to you.
Yes,
We've all-
Yeah.
At least we have a process whereby we can work to uncover and ask the questions through the panel. You know, and I would give maybe the MUOC example. We spent a lot of time on just one project. We wouldn't have enough time to spend on all all projects that are presented. So this gives equal access, I think, to the public to allocate the same amount of time. PSP, can bring them forward. But I'd also love the idea where Nora was able to, identify what was an amazing project through her own network of neighborhood collaboration. So as long as we cast the net, so that point of view is considered, that it's got to be feasible for
Yeah.
us to give.
I support Trish's idea. I think you made a very good point because I think it's important to the public that we have a proper process, giving them the feeling of equality, fairness, and proper evaluation on the same goals. So I think that's really important. Thank you.
Do you want to?
Well, I'm happy to participate if there's, an opportunity, but if.
Yes, of course.
Because we can only have 3.
Yes.
The other thing is, I'm not sure it would be feasible to take that whole swath of time that PSP could, that the panel can allocate and try to do it live in a commission meeting. To have 9 different or 10 different presenters come and spend an hour each, or even half an hour each. So this gives the proposers more time to present and get their questions answered, and gives the panel a time to process that and then make their recommendation, what should come before.
I think you should take my place.
Mhm.
It sounds very efficient and very,
Happy to.
The problem though is we just had this issue with the Mebach exhibit and we asked them to do work. And as far as I know, nothing was done. And that's what I'm saying. When you have a PASP and the people don't have the time to do the work or,
right.
Well,
Well,
want to do the work, it's a problem. Whereas if you have someone like a neighbor of mine, Vashko, who just threw some,
Right.
the story, said, oh, I do this. And he took the ball and he ran with it because there was that own self.
Sure. Well, I don't think it has to be an either or situation in this case. I mean, clearly, if we had another individual like Vashko who came, we would probably steer him or her towards a PASP of new members
Yes.
who would
they need members
take up
badly.
the be inspired by what he's doing. I mean, clearly there are some wonderful projects that are worthy of backing and are, inspiring and fun.
Right.
And I think the people, if we re-envision CASP, in such a way that we don't exclude the public, but we also have a panel of people who are truly, interested, not just in their own, projects, but in helping the community and with a broader mindset. And that I think goes to revising the guiding principles and the goals of the body.
I think it's.
But I don't think, like, I agree with you, I think it's wonderful that happened, and I'm sure that there are other individuals here too. I mean, Vashko, I will say, was pretty remarkable, and, it's the exception and not the rule. I mean, not everybody can just
Yeah.
get the president of Portugal and the
Yeah.
Azorian government
He
to
did all the
do
research
all of this
and all
stuff,
that.
you know what I mean? But maybe he should be on the PASP, I don't know.
Portugal.
Yeah, he's moved, right?
He moved? Oh, no.
With all due respect, I wonder if the chair and the vice chair would notify the PASP members that this is happening.
Sure, of course.
Well,
Yes.
Yeah, I'm a.
Yes. Yeah, I think it is important to get their little idea as well, because it is very important for
I-
whoever is
I'm
going
not-
to
I
be
think- I
the
think-
ad hoc to be able to at least.
I disagree with that. I think it's
No.
important that we define the role of
That is true, but
PASP.
they have.
And
to be
then,
happy.
well, if you're not happy, don't join PASP.
Don't do
And
it.
if you are happy, and if you're okay with, I mean, because I think as an ad hoc and as
Yeah,
a body,
that's true. I
we
understand.
can construct a guiding principles, bylaws, goals that are pretty good and will serve us and our purpose. Remember, again, it's all in the service of the HNA's mission and the HNA's purpose. And
But
I
it's
think-
certainly worth their, asking them and having their input
Well, I mean,
in our process. They don't have to.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I feel like,
think it's since they've,
I mean, I
they
think
are in
certainly
existence.
Richard and Judith, you know. who-
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, are, who have
the
some
existing.
experience with it and also understand the pitfalls and the pros and cons of the process might be
Current
helpful. Yeah, current participants. But I don't think you need to bring it out to people who are prospective participants at all.
Oh, no, that's.
Okay, then.
That's later, but.
I mean, either
I-
they, I mean, look, I did, when I applied for
But-
this position, I didn't have, you know, qualms about how this body worked or whatever. And I
You
met
wait
with,
until
I met
you-
with Nora, who was the chair at the time, and I met with Patty at the time. And, you know, I mean, I said, okay, I'm up for this, you know, and clear, and this is not a, you know, it's fun, but it's by no means always easy. Right? And it tests, you know, it's challenging in some ways. And I think that that's, you know, that's okay.
But I mean, I don't want to beat a dead horse, but the bottom line is at this point in time, we need people that are willing to do the work.
Mhm.
We've got to bring efficiency to this commission and purpose of mind and just, you know, the willingness to roll up your sleeves and get whatever needs to be done, done.
And that might require asking prospective applicants, what's your bandwidth? How much time do you have to spend on things like this, you know, and what can you do?
Well, let's
Yeah, I
do
think
the
the
first
history-
step first, and
Yeah.
then you can
Yeah,
do
yeah.
the
I think
asking
that
after.
members have done their work. They certainly did in bringing Thomas Jackson
Sure.
and all of that. And part of it is, as I said, they weren't put on the agenda and
Right.
they felt not included.
Well, that might be part
Included.
of.
So that's part of something that the ad hoc could
Absolutely,
consider.
absolutely. So
Anyways, let's create the ad.
why don't-
Exactly.
Trish, why don't you go ahead and join these two, and do we need to?
This is very important. I think it's going to help us in the future with
Yes.
other projects. Are we allowed to rotate in and out of an ad hoc as a substitute or an alternate? And
No alternates.
no alternates?
You can,
Can I, if I, let's say I'm gonna be away for a couple months traveling or whatever, can the chair and appoint someone in my place to, like a placeholder?
in the interim, you can reconstitute the ad hoc, but you can't do alternates. You can't do sort of temporary interim because ultimately what ends up happening is the more that you rotate in and out, you get to a point where a whole quorum is sat on the board or on that.
Oh.
Thanks
So
for the
that's kind of the
clarification. That's what I
Have 2 months
wanted.
for this one, so we have enough.
Okay.
So the first step for this ad hoc with
If-
Nora, Trish, and
If I
Victoria.
may, real quick,
Yeah.
I just want to note for the record that we've opened the floor for public comment
Okay.
before we vote, and I'm seeing no public comments.
Of course.
Please proceed.
Okay.
Is
You can
there
go ahead.
any-
Do we need a motion for this?
Yes, let's
Yeah,
do a
of
motion and a
course.
second.
Well, one last question. Can we have phases to an ad hoc? So can we define it? This is the ad hoc committee, as we're doing now, phase 1. And then when we get to a certain point, if you want to continue, it would be like a phase 2, and we can, is that the same as reconstituting?
I think you would need to clearly define what the difference between the phases is. I am not fully following on what would be a phase 1 or a phase 2 for this.
So for an example, it would be phase 1 includes definition of parameters, recommendation, research, all the way up to teeing, and let's say this is maybe we say we envision it to be a 4-month project or a 3-month project. Phase 1 comes to the point where we hand it off, and then we move on to phase 2 work. Phase 2 could be drafting and recruiting new members, orientation.
Yeah.
So it's like the work would shift and change. You don't have to keep the same members because the work is changing.
I think the way that you put it, Commissioner, makes sense. One group that will sort of work on the bylaws, the mission, the purpose, any of that. And then if you'd like to bring it back to the full body can review what that ad hoc has done. You can adopt it as the new bylaws, the new
Mhm.
mission, the new purpose. And then you can create another ad hoc to work on building it.
Great.
I think that makes sense.
And I think that would be, I think if we could accomplish phase 1 by the next meeting, March 26th, that would be amazing.
Yeah, we can get
That
all the
would be-
background info and
A very
Lee-
good
Lee-
step.
Lee-
I'll provide
Lee
the,
can send to the ad hoc members the bylaws and all the material around PASP.
Yes, as soon as.
So I move that we create a ad hoc for the first phase of re-envisioning and PASP consisting of Nora, Trish, and Commissioner Fong as well.
And would that encompass possibility of a different way of doing it that would not
Sure.
involve?
I mean, I think
AS?
that's got to be part of your
Okay.
initial conversation is
Okay,
the pros and cons of,
okay.
yeah, we should evaluate all possibilities.
Yeah.
but do it,
Mhm.
in a meticulous and
Oh, Yeah, no, but I'm
balanced
just saying,
way.
I don't want to, by virtue of the
Yeah.
way the motion is being worded.
Oh, I
to
see.
Exclude that as a possibility, is that we're going to explore, the bylaws of the
Of
PASP,
the
but also consider whether or not the creation of the PASP or, re-envisioning.
is the right way
is the
forward.
right way forward.
Sure.
Exactly. And I would second that.
Okay. Vote.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Passes it unopposed. Thank you very much. And Chair, would you like me to introduce AI2?
Yes, no, the two is
So it'll be the
artist calendar for 2024.
So this item will be the commission's opportunity to again create one or multiple ad hoc committees to manage the existing calendar, which is attached to your agendas for 2024 and discuss artist outreach for future exhibits.
Now, this ad hoc is going to be very busy as well. And because someone has got to be the contact person here, getting all the emails, contacting the artists, giving them options of dates and getting an answer. This is something that was done by Patty. So now it is up to us to have someone to do the outreach. It is very important, and to be a contact person, even if it is not outreach. So what do you think?
Well, I think Azita would be a good person to do this.
Yes. I was hoping that Azita would be here for this meeting. I'm really disappointed she's not, but I have to have a chat with her, a serious one. Because she's very good finding it, but I'm not really sure if she would be there to take
Or
questions and emails. The emails come. Somebody has got to answer it and be quick with.
is there an
answers.
instruction sheet from Patty as to the
No.
list or who has the list and
Well,
all of that?
we have,
We have a list.
at the moment, we are kind of good for this year. I have, Jeannie Doyle has asked to be put in 2025 for the month of February. She absolutely wants that. And the list that I got today in my email was sent by Patty. So I'm not really sure if that is the one that she had promised that she would send it to me, and she never did, she forgot. Maybe it is her, but I think these 4 artists have been approached by Azita, and I looked at their websites, and they're really competent and very good artists. So what we have to do we have to write to them with a nice email saying that we are very happy that you want to show, and then explain that we have one community gallery upstairs, which we will be giving artists reception. And the other place is the lobby and the council uh, room, and which we will not be able to give any receptions unless the artists themselves wants to do it in a time that maybe on a Saturday that everything is closed up or something, they can do it downstairs.
Yeah.
So somebody has got to write that letter and send it to all these people and then say, okay, 2024, this month is all free and open. Please choose and let us know. Then you have to get the answer back.
The bottom line is we all have to do something, right? And so we're already three of us on an ad hoc. You're vice chair, you're chair. I would say the best thing to do, because both you and Azita are probably the closest ones to the actual artists. And you two would be the best people to be on this ad hoc.
Okay, I was planning to in hanging the shows and
Yeah.
bringing
Yeah.
it down shows, those things.
Yeah, may I suggest that you and Azita, who's in here, but unanimously selected, kind of organize what we need to do and the contact, and perhaps each of the commissioners working in pairs or threesome ad hoc, take over each show, handling the reception and,
Yes,
And-
that is the next
Yeah.
step, but the first step right now, we have these,
so maybe since
Artists
Azita isn't
like-
here,
like Scott
Maybe.
Yu is waiting.
Well, I
but
can,
he's not on the agenda,
Oh,
that's
and I can
separate.
do it.
with Azita,
Yeah,
but the
with
three of us
Azita.
can do it, yeah. Sure.
Yeah.
I have to ask Azita, make sure that she will commit.
You can tell her that she's missed 2 meetings and now it's time
Yeah,
to,
it
time
is,
to,
it
the
is
rubber
not
has to
right.
hit the road.
This is the time I was expecting everybody to be
Yeah,
present because this is an important day for us right now.
This is an important period for us to
Yes.
regroup, revitalize and
Yes.
support each other. And we're missing some commissioners
Okay.
and so.
All right, then I will talk with her. And if I need any help,
sure.
I have my right hand here.
Yeah, but just calling it to, our attention to the fact that we're going to meet in March,
Yes,
that's a long time.
Yeah,
So what you, again, I mean, I don't want to be pushy, but on the other hand, I think it would behoove us for you to take the lead and to say to Azita, this is what we need to do. And like, Arjun said, this is the time when the rubber hits the road. People have got to be here for the meetings. They've got to show up and they've got to do the work.
It's a lot of work coming up.
Yeah.
yeah, it is a lot of work. Okay, that will be on me.
So maybe perhaps you and Azita could take over the March 1st reception, because we're not going to have a meeting till end of March.
nice.
But you
Yes,
could call
because
on any
we
of
have-
us and we'll pitch in.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We always do.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we have to take a look at the,
The calendar.
The
yeah.
calendar is
March 1st.
upstairs, Simran
Masudi,
Masudi, and downstairs, Sandra
Wolfson.
Wolfson.
And I've already spoken to Sandra. And I told her that the best thing to do would be for her to speak with Simon so that possibly, and she was up for it. Simon is the only one that needs to agree to it, about having a joint reception.
Great idea.
Yeah. So if you would be good enough to give me contact information, I will give it to Sandra, but you need to run it by Simon first to see if she's agreeable, in which case then I can put Sandra and Simon in touch with each other to figure out a date for the reception.
Sandra is doing it downstairs.
I understand, but they're doing
They're
it
starting
during the
day,
same block of time.
period.
It's
Oh, my gosh.
March 1st to April 30th for both. So they will be exhibiting at the same time.
Okay,
Therefore, it makes most sense from point of, dollars and time
Mhm.
to have a joint reception and also joint advertising. Patty's going to look into whether or not there was a banner space reserved for this time or not. Because banners are expensive. and
I
there's-
don't think she didn't
I-
mention anything.
I don't think she did, but she's gonna check.
Or Lee, can you help us with that? Maybe?
Yes.
Yeah, but the other thing is in terms of the advertising, the ARC always covers it for free.
Mhm.
Yes,
And so there will be some mention in the ARC, but we can always put it on the website for the Chamber of Commerce, which is also free. And we can also get it advertised through Nextdoor. So all those pieces can come into play, but we need to know the date for the reception, because the art often goes up before the actual reception, and we also need to be present to host the reception. And they need to be told that normally they pay for the food and the drink.
What if they prefer separate receptions?
That's up to them, but
Okay.
it just means that they.
I'm just saying
Yeah.
that
No,
may
no,
happen.
nobody's gonna force them to do
I have
anything.
to
I'm just saying
talk
they
to
need
them.
to know what is expected of them, which is they need to invite.
Yeah,
their
that's
own-
what I was concerned with
Yeah.
because we're not having the meeting, so we
Right.
need to
Exactly.
get going on it. We're on the same page.
Exactly.
Thanks.
So they can have separate receptions, but
It's
they
not
have to bring the
preference.
food. It's up to them, but also, if we're gonna put ads up, they need to say, yes, we're agreeable to advertising, me as well as,
Mhm.
Sandra on this next door.
usually Diana Smith gets in touch with the artists and does a little
Right.
photos and the
Absolutely,
background.
but we need to know
So
from
I
her,
have to start that.
from the artist, exactly.
That is, I have to get in touch with the artist and let her know.
Get
Yeah.
some dates and their
Yeah.
preferences.
Okay, so,
And then preference for, what day she wants her reception.
Trish,
Are we resourced to, now that we're restructuring the work and our resources are constrained? Are we resourced to fulfill, our wish list from last year? I mean, are we not in a situation where we have to look at economies of scale and in consolidating the work for this period of time? Unless there's an additional staffing resource, which I don't think there is coming on.
We don't need anybody. I mean, we just have
Well,
to
I
do
mean,
this
so
ourselves.
before, we're asking, basically, right now, I think the team here is on board. But we can't do everything because you're gonna be traveling and we're all gonna have other things, so. We need to, at the right point in time, I'm just looking at this list, and so I'm saying.
oh, you mean the calendar? You're looking at the
Well, yeah,
calendar?
we have two, if they do want two separate parties, that means we also have to sign up to set
Right.
up, clean, staff, accommodate, market, do all the RSVPs for two separate parties. Are we?
Yeah.
resourced?
Well, I just brought that up, that might be happening and that we need to either push toward one or make
Well,
some arrangements.
Maybe, here's my suggestion, maybe, I think there was some talk of potential new past members. Maybe that's a nice introduction to them, is to get your people to help with the cleanup and the serving of the.
Good luck.
By March 1st.
Yeah. No, I mean,
On the dot.
No.
Well, March 1st is, there's time,
The reality of the situation, this is not the first time we've had an artist calendar
right?
with the commission doing all the work. It will get done. The only thing that we need to do right now is to put Simon in contact with Sandra to decide if they want to do a joint reception. If so, what date, and then we can mobilize around that.
Yeah.
But we also need the ad hoc, which right now I would, vote to have Jale and Azita on it, because they're going to have to take over in terms of just managing the dates
Yeah.
and future
Yeah,
people.
and then, if the artist in the artist reception is providing the food and the drinks as is custom.
Right.
They would be involved as well.
Exactly.
Clearly.
Maybe we could ask them just for food. You can provide.
I don't know how much wine
drinks.
we have upstairs,
Right.
but what, let's.
In the past, we've been partying too much. No, in the past, we did provide the wine. They did
Oh, yeah.
brought in the
Yeah.
food. But you know, we have a economy of scale, as Trish well put.
see.
We'll see.
Not,
Well,
not that poor.
yeah.
Can we
Should
take
be
a
able
vote?
To do.
Can we take make a motion for Azita when she's in absentia?
So move, I
Ah.
move that.
Can we do that?
I move that the ad hoc be consisting of Chair Adamad and Commissioner Zita Mojica Beavers. For.
I
now.
second.
Thanks so.
We are all in
Yeah,
favor.
To work. It's that
Yay.
I haven't done enough and I'm not doing enough. I haven't slept all night last night because of this today.
All right, should we take a vote?
All in favor?
I,
Aye,
Any opposed? No, thank you.
okay. Boy, that's going to be something.
Happy to do that, happily. Okay,
Yeah.
All right, now we go to.
Would you like me to introduce the next item, Chair?
Yes,
Former Artist
Please.
Laureate Reception. This is the commission's
that's-
opportunity. We're asking you to consider approval of a reception, date and cost to honor former Artist Laureate Richard Rosen. I'll give you a little background.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry. Historically, these receptions have been held jointly with bringing on the new artist laureate, but it's
Incoming.
obviously been a little bit of time with the pandemic and everything. So, and I got these numbers from, this is what Patty recommended. Approve a cost if you decide to proceed with a reception, a date and time, and a cost not to exceed $200 is the recommendation. Thank you.
I can be heard on this one.
Well, we cannot do it in March, that's for sure, because we have one March.
Could I be heard just
Decision.
on the subject?
sure.
Again, in light of the precedent, in light of the circumstances, I really don't think that we need to do this. And I would say it, first of all, it would be more appropriate if we're going to do this at all, that we would do it when we bring a new artist laureate on board, as it has been done in the past. So there is a precedent for doing so. It has been a long period of time, so it's kind of coming out of the blue to all of a sudden have an artist reception for someone who essentially had an artist reception when he was appointed, and there was the passing of the laurels, I think, from you to him. And we don't have the time to do it right now. We don't have a lot of money, although, you know, we just got some money. But I think it would be more appropriate and the best use of our time to focus on other things that we need to do and not do this.
May I, please? The thing is that we have tried, and I have spoken to several local artists. Nobody wants to do it. So absolutely, there's no hope we are going to get another one, another artist laureate.
Well, I've talked to somebody.
But Richard Rosen deserves a thank you. He has, that's our public art, is what he has worked on. And that is how we have been using what the result of what he has done for us. So he really deserves that. That plaque should be given to him. We don't have to have a very big party for him, but I've been thinking about doing something because as I was reading our mission to bring art to the community, that is what I was doing during my 4 or 5 years of being artist laureate. Now that we don't have, maybe the past artist laureate, which is me and Mary Musolo, maybe we can bring free workshops once a month, maybe on a Saturday morning for free, for just community, something interesting. So I was going to talk about this to you tonight and see what you think about it.
But what does that have to do with this action item? This action item is very specific. It's giving a reception
Yes.
to Richard Rosen,
We are-
who has already had a reception acknowledging his appointment as an artist laureate. There has been a pandemic of 2 years. We need to refocus on what's before us now and not look back into the past. I think if in the future, and I think there are people out there, I know two, who would like to be recognized as artist laureate, that in keeping with our precedent and past, what we've done in the past, is to, at that time, have another reception, which, for one thing, acknowledges the contributions of the previous artist laureate and recognizes that we're on the threshold of a new artist laureate, and we don't know what to expect, but we're excited about it happening.
I think at this point, since it's been a long time, I would support the fact that we need to thank Richard Rosen for his service. When we do it, that I don't think this, at this juncture, is a good time to plan for another responsibility on us. However, I am not opposed to planning something for the latter part of the year because, we'll have a feeling of what we can do and what kind of help we could have. I think that would be a better time. And in fact, it certainly won't be March because I think he's traveling. But anyway, I think we do need to thank him whether we get the next artist laureate. Right now, our commission had put aside the process. So it wouldn't be fair for Richard to be held up because we didn't do the process of selecting a new laureate, whether we have names or the proper names or whatever it is. So I think I would like to go ahead with a reception to thank Richard Rosen at a later time. Maybe it could be brought back for some time or in the fall or toward the end when we could end this year. And at that time, we would know what kind of help we could have with possible PASB, public, whatever it might be. We might have a better idea. Maybe in the summer, it looks like the calendar for the gallery is totally empty. And maybe that's a good time for the laureate to put up some of his painting.
The Richard, you mean?
Actually,
Yeah, because it's empty.
I wanted to, at some point, I'm going to ask to see what you think about, I think there are 3 artist laureates or 4. Each of them asks them a small work to bring and put it permanently upstairs in the hallway upstairs.
That's a different.
Yeah, that's a different matter,
So,
but I'm thinking the
we have to
gallery's
set
empty in the summer.
We have
Maybe
to do
we could
something.
do a thank you party
Yeah, when I
featuring.
was going,
all
it was a
four.
big thing. It happened in this room when I stepped down and Rosen was
I
selected.
want to say one thing. I think, I understand, all the points that are being made here, and clearly I agree that Richard needs to be thanked. When you look at the staff recommendation here, number 2 supports what Nora said, which was that generally the reception was approximately $400 because it encompassed both incoming and outgoing artist laureates. And so in a town such as ours, I'm sure there's somebody who could step up to be an artist laureate. There are so many people
That
who are
means that
who
we
are
have
working
to
here.
start. We have to.
So I think
start
that might be,
advertise.
I think that's exactly, we have we could do an article in the ARC
Richard.
and then stating, I love that idea, Trish. That's a great idea. Absolutely. And
Put it out
that puts
there.
people on notice. And then for those of us who have
Appreciate.
contacts, we can still reach out to them and say, look, this is happening. And I don't see, the application and the procedure is there.
It's
Right.
dated. We need to redo that, and I'd be
And
happy to
maybe
look
then we
at
can
it.
do an ad hoc. I'll be on that ad
I'll do
hoc
it too.
to look at the applications and
It's a pretty
revise
good
that.
one. It's not too bad.
Okay.
Yeah,
we can take a
I
look
think
at it.
we've looked at it and
We have
actually
done that before.
Azita and I were on the original one and we got applications from people that really did not quite qualify.
Okay.
And then because of COVID and everything else, things got
I'll
put
talk-
aside.
I'd love to talk to you about that. more.
Yeah. And
Um,
I have no problem, but I was just thinking, looking at the gallery, it is empty and if we want to do an article, let him show some art up there and just,
mean,
it's,
I
you
mean,
know,
it's not.
give him the
the-
plaque.
The
I think
summer
that'd
is
be
not,
nice.
the summer is, still several months away. If by August we can't find an artist laureate, then, I mean, then we've got, bigger problems, right?
Yeah, we could open up the whole application process again.
Exactly. So I think that in this case, maybe the ad hoc committee be one consisting of Nora and I, and, if you or someone else wants to join, that's fine too. But that addresses this idea, the issue of the artist laureate in general, including what's on the action item here, which is thanking Richard, because that's clearly a part of the process. Thanking the outgoing and welcoming the incoming artist laureate.
Right. Now, however, this does not say create an ad hoc, so I don't know that we can do that.
You can create an ad hoc.
Okay, great. Okay,
All right, I
That-
move that we create an ad hoc to address the artist laureate and the reception for an incoming and an outgoing artist laureate as well.
Clarification, is the ad hoc just reviewing the paperwork first, or are we going ahead?
Well, when we,
If we go ahead, I would like to, for Zita and myself to be back on the, selection
sure. I mean,
interview.
I don't see a problem with that.
The three of you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
It's fine.
Thank you for the clarification.
Okay. And then, so ideally, Nora, I guess, we would be able.
do the paperwork.
We would do the paperwork, which I know we both love.
I think we do.
And yeah, we can check it out. Yeah, I'm sure it's almost, it's there, almost there. And, as long as we can kind of find a way to open it up to people. that'd be
There's a file with existing applicants too, so.
good. Lee, can you help us with that?
Yes, so the way that I'm sort of hearing this is Commissioner Noguez and Vice Chair Gupta are going to finalize the application materials. Then you'll contact me when it's ready and we'll put the call out through all of our various channels that we do. This is a council appointed position. However, my understanding is, as Commissioner Fong alluded to, there is sort of a first
Selection.
level of review
Yeah,
at H&A.
that's
And
right.
so the application period will go out, there'll be a deadline at some point.
Mhm.
And at that point, it'll come back to H&A to create your artist laureate selection panel.
And hopefully we can do that at the
Well,
next meeting
actually-
on March 26th.
Excuse me, I didn't mean to interrupt. Actually, there is a process. And there are two members of the commission, which is Zita and I, and the former or the outgoing artist laureate, plus a member from the town council. We do the interviewing process. That's how we select it. So we interview all the applicants, they give the submission. So the process is in the paperwork.
Mhm.
So anyway, that's just to clarify
Yes.
what we've gone through and what is stated in the papers.
And ideally, that would be, you would not need more than 3 months to do that entire process, right? I mean,
It actually
happens.
goes, once you get the application, you set up the
Yes,
appointment.
and then you
I think
start
it's just
advertising. for
Actually, the last time, if I may say so, is to coordinate to get the mayor, at that time, Mayor Frazier, to meet with us and to sit through the interview.
so,
And Patty was there, but I don't know if that's,
so.
ex
ano-
officio.
So another clarification then, I guess, I mean, I don't know, we can discuss this, it's open for discussion, but that Nora, you and I review the materials, revise whatever we feel needs to be revised and present it on March 26th to the
That's fine.
commission. At which point, we would then also have perhaps a draft of an article for the ARC, or maybe working with Francisco, create an article for the ARC that would go out in late March as well, that would be approved at that next meeting, so that we could start getting, you know, and we
Application.
could put a deadline on that thing and say, you know, you have until June 30th or whatever. I mean, and then you could still have this reception presumably in
In-
August if we wanted, because by then
Yeah.
you would have a
I
month.
think that's a good schedule because once you get, we already have couple application that's kind of sitting because of COVID and all of this. And we could put a call for applications or applicants to be the artist laureate and see what we come up with.
But I think that's an important role that the HNA plays, is the artist laureate. And while I think it's important to recognize Richard, I think it's also important to continue with this tradition
Absolutely.
and get a new person
And that will give us time to get the plaque ready.
in. Okay, so I move that Nora and I form an ad hoc committee to review the artist laureate application documents and processes, and to present our findings in the next meeting for the selection committee to then
Second.
take over.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Thank you.
So this is another email you need to send to the two of them.
Yeah.
All the documents.
So
Good.
start fresh. I mean, you know, it's helpful that you guys did all the legwork.
So we go to discussion item, which is the piano in the park, in South Knoll Park. You have to receive updates.
I will say,
The ad
on
hoc.
behalf of the ad hoc and fellow, Commissioner Noguez and Farron, we have not met because we were hoping to hear from Judith, and
Mm.
we will still pursue that basis.
Okay.
Okay?
But I
Mm.
can say one thing. I did speak to Deanne Biss and she suggested that we do get a cost for shuttles.
Pardon, could you turn
Oh, sorry.
Would you turn on?
Um, it was on. Yeah. I did speak to Deanne Biss, who is the executive director of the Chamber of Commerce.
Mm.
Because I asked her about her experience doing events at the well, no, was the wine festival is not the problem. Is when she was doing events for the school district and the gala in Blackies. And so she said, because parking is not a problem if the event is downtown, but being out there, she suggested that we look into the cost of shuttles
From downtown to the site.
from wherever, but
wherever.
because parking might be difficult.
Maybe it'll be more from Strawberry or from Reed Ranch. I don't
know, but it's one, I just to say that based on her experience, she said we should think about shuttles.
That's one matter ad hoc. Well, we three will have to talk about.
Yeah.
Thank.
So, because this is a discussion item and it does say requirements and considerations, which are part and parcel of having this exhibit.
Right.
Also fundraising. And so we do need to meet about that. But I mean, one of the things is we did get this money from the town, and I think right out of the starting gate, what better than this to use that money for?
Yeah, I guess with the fundraising, I had a question. With the town money, I think it's kind of awkward for us to go out and ask for it. I think we
Right.
could ask for sponsorship if anybody's interested. But I guess it's just the word fundraising now.
Right.
I know
I mean,
what we're trying to do. We want to involve the public
Yeah.
and anybody who wants to support, but maybe we'll just
Well,
change the terminology.
I mean, as part of the fundraising ad hoc, I will say this, that, well, two things. One, when the general reserve fund idea was proposed, it was also proposed with the understanding that there would be parallel or adjacent fundraising, efforts to supplement that. And clearly, you know, to secure the performance, we needed
Right.
that money right away, and that was for the funder. However, I think, you know, it's okay. I mean, this is something that Jolly and I mean, you know, we haven't formally met, but we're on the phone quite a bit these days. And we did discuss, you know, not individual fundraising, but going to some of the foundations and other organizations
Foundations.
in town who are interested in supporting the arts and who are eagerly awaiting
Yeah,
our, you know, next project. So I think that's okay to do
yeah,
that.
I think that's what I wanted to
Yeah,
clarify. I don't want
always
to go up.
offer
Mhm.
That we are very happy.
Yeah,
Well,
And
that's right.
I guess we'll hear from Judith. I understand this nonprofit pretty much take care of
Their own
the
advertising.
other stuff, so
And
that'll be great.
any materials or copy or photos we could probably get from them
Mhm.
to use ourselves with the ARC and, you know, maybe we'll do some posters or something or a banner or
But-
whatever.
But in having read through their materials, I'm almost positive that they want
have it.
final say
Yeah,
on
of course,
anything
of
that goes
course.
out.
Yeah.
Mhm. How about the panel that we create to put out in Blackie's announcing this concert?
Well, we can talk to Judith about that
Yeah.
and she can ask
Yeah, I
Hunter.
think-
I
has
think
to
we
be
need Judith's
ordered,
input
so
on these
It has
things.
to be ordered.
I believe that there is a time reserved for
For
a
that.
banner.
Banner.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
For, yeah, the
the Blackies.
banners, I don't know how long it takes. Maybe Patty has already reserved it.
I think
don't
she's
know.
reserved it, but she hasn't ordered it,
She
so we
must
need to
have
do that,
reserved
and
it.
Dave Gotts can also help with that.
Okay, okay, then.
Just question again on resources. Because I've, you know, been on the other side and I've always had the, great luck of having a Patty as project manager. So for this, scale of event, which is off the charts from what we've done since I've been on the commission in terms of shuttle buses and security and for an event that is launching on May 19th, our next meeting's in March. So I'm wondering, is there a project manager that's going to be taking the role of Patty, or are we going to fill that role from a volunteer?
They
that
do
will
it,
Coordinate all components.
but Noah, I mean, excuse me.
NOAC, it's
Hunter,
a
Noah,
group,
They
yeah,
take
that,
care of all
Right,
that.
but you have to, there has.
You have to be somebody on this end.
yeah.
Yeah.
But we're contacting to
Okay.
do the artwork.
Well, I would think that,
You know,
I mean, Judith would be that person
okay,
Yeah.
then
You
we
know.
just- I think we should make.
All right.
and we'll talk to Judith.
We have to
I can
talk
reach out to
to-
Judith about that.
Yes, reserving.
Sure.
You know, all the different components, security, if we're going to scale this up or. if we're
Well,
going
I
to
think the main point is that Judith will work
Judith
in
might not
concert
have
with
some-
the requirements ad hoc here, right? I mean, you guys.
Yeah, and maybe.
And
the-
also with the fundraising ad hoc as well, and she would be that person. at
And the
kind of-
nonprofit might have some idea of how things have
She's
run
the
bus.
Vasco.
She's the Vashko.
Well, I just think we need to confirm with Judith.
I can do that.
Fill her whole, block off. the
She's the lead guy, yeah.
role. And then I would love to see a gap analysis. You've probably already done this, but between the things that Patty did that now have to be filled by someone else besides Patty, from our side. So like I
I don't
happen
know,
to
maybe
know
Lee
Yeah,
can
it's
do
a-
it.
it's
all
a
the
s-
little things that I know she.
Is an aside, do you know if the town will be hiring temp or somebody to help out?
We're still in the process of figuring it all out.
Okay.
At the moment, Lee is doing a fantastic job. Thank you
Yeah.
so very much.
And Patty has briefed Lee extensively,
Yeah.
extensively on the needs.
This is
But
a-
not fair
this
to
is why
Lee.
I wanted- Between now,
Yeah.
this is extremely short
Yeah.
window to get all components in place when we go outside our footprint. Like for the concerts in the park, that's a well-oiled machine. They don't have.
Yeah.
shuttle buses.
Yeah, because they are local, yeah.
So here's my suggestion.
Mm.
I will reach out to Judith and let her know that there are these two ad hoc committees. And then once I do that, I will then email you and let the ad hoc
Yeah.
committees and, you know, I mean, us know that we are now ready to
Yeah, and
make some moves and she can, you know, and she needs to sort of, I mean, clearly we need information about how Hunter's operation works and what
Yeah.
they can and can't, what they do and what they don't do and what
And-
they've done in the past and. that sort of-
May,
I believe the Hunter is going to take over a lot of things.
Yeah,
that
that's
worries us.
great for us.
Yeah.
May
I
I, through the
remember
chair
her
and vice
saying-
chair, ask directly to our fellow commissioner? Could you ask Deanne any particular shuttle services that she knows of that works well in Marin? Yeah, I know that school has stopped using the tent and doing the big fundraiser because it was very costly and all, but
And then,
anyway,
you know, who is.
thank you.
Who's going to be served by those shuttle
Right.
buses? Because if we have a constituency that's very comfortable getting down there, as they did for Thomas Jackson, we wouldn't necessarily want to hire a bunch of empty buses.
No.
or-
Yeah,
No.
and if they are local, we may just walk down there and,
And that's
So-
the other thing. I mean, one of the things that I mentioned in passing to Deanne was the fact that this is a perfect opportunity to do ferries
Oh, yeah,
with bicycles. So
Right.
people come from the city.
that's true.
Or from Valais or wherever to, well, I guess Valais wouldn't work, but from the city, and they bring their bikes on board and they just bike. I mean, it's a great opportunity
Sure.
for the town, you know, and the merchants to capitalize on this event.
Sure.
yeah, or the business that has an e-bike, maybe somebody could try at a discount
Yeah,
price,
That's
you
a
know?
great idea too.
Or
You know.
From the local schools.
Yeah.
Because they know how to
Right.
get down to the fields.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Who is our constituency? Who is our
Right,
target audience?
right.
Do we want to go and bring people from the city here? That could be a different.
yeah, and maybe if ask her because Deanne is so capable of doing everything, maybe on the parking, do contact the police department and all
Well,
of that
yeah,
stuff.
but I mean,
Another thing
they
is the
did that.
location of where they sell the earphones. Where do they put, set it
it's
up?
gotta be there,
At at the
It
site.
has to be at the site.
of course. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm not, I think
Yeah.
Hunter it's a
do
well-oiled.
this all the time.
Talking about maybe selling something in downtown. Before
no,
coming,
no.
I don't know.
No, what I'm talking about is when the advertising is done, and I'm sure that Hunter Nowak does his own independent advertising,
Mhm.
that
Yeah.
it will draw people from other areas,
Absolutely.
not just Tiburon. And what I'm saying is that it's an opportunity for people to take the ferry, which would cut down on the number of vehicles coming, which happens during the wine festival. A lot of people come from the city on the ferry. I know because I'm sitting there taking tickets and all of a sudden people go, oh, the ferry's coming in, boom. You know, the number of people coming through just increases
Mhm.
exponentially. And likewise, you know, there are only so many tickets that can be sold. They will be sold through
Yeah.
through NOAC, and it's not like they're gonna be buying the tickets at the site, right? They're gonna be buying them online, so you will know
Eventbrite will do, or
Event-
I think
yeah.
Ticketmaster or
Macy's
whatever.
will be there.
they're
They
there.
Could
Yeah.
sell only the tickets in downtown. And then they have,
No.
they buy
No,
the
it's
tickets.
through
Everything is
their
done-
organization. It's through their
What
organization.
they say,
We don't
actually.
control it.
Yeah, we
I
can't
think we have
control
a
that.
say in the marketing.
Right.
So if we are funding this from this town, I would personally like to prioritize the community that frequents our, the community that lives in our town.
Yeah.
As a focus for some of our outreach.
I mean, my hope would be that, you would get first crack at the tickets if you
That-
wanted a headset.
Right.
Our town would. And so I think
Right.
all of these questions and points between now and March 26th,
Right.
we need to
Judith.
hammer out with Judith and through Judith with Hunter as well. And I'm in my
Right.
email, in my message to Judith, I'll make all of this kind of clear so that you and the requirements ad
Right.
hoc understand what what she knows.
Right.
And
Right.
setting the expectations for the next 2 months.
Right.
That's great. I
Right, that's fine.
appreciate you.
But
Hand-
again, this is an event. This isn't a first time for him. This is not his first rodeo. He does these up and down the West Coast. He's been doing this for years.
And he's
So-
done it in San Francisco
And he's
too,
done
so.
it, he does it at the Arboretum. So, you
He
know,
has done it
Have they ever
twice,
provided shuttle
twice in
buses?
San Francisco.
no, I don't think they have, but I honestly, between you and me, I don't think we need them. Because there's enough parking in the neighborhood for them to do it. If they
There
can put
is.
on those concerts in Belvedere with the number of people that show up for that.
Yeah. And also remember, Del Mar School always has
Exactly.
events. and my entire neighborhood gets,
Yeah.
inundated with
Yeah,
cars.
and I
so-
can tell you, living in Bel Air, that when there is an event at Bel Air School,
The,
People find places.
Yeah,
to
people
park.
find places.
yeah, the only thing is that we probably have to have the police department say not to park along Tiburon Boulevard in case
Well-
people are coming in. Because, they'll get a ticket and it wouldn't be very nice. But anyway, that's all gonna be handled. Well,
Okay, but the bottom line then is that Arjun will talk to Judith about the issues that were raised tonight and we'll get answers. Yeah. Okay.
Sounds good. Thanks, Trish.
So, is the discussion over?
Yes.
Yeah, it's continued.
It's only,
Calendar
we just need
dates.
Judith.
Calendar date, March 26th.
Or-
No, March 26th.
Yeah, the May 19th is the event, so essentially your marketing has to start 3 months before May 19th.
Yeah,
But they
So-
can, but they're gonna, but presumably that, Hunter is aware of that, and now that he has confirmed that date, he's on it.
Yeah.
And we paid a down payment, so
Yeah,
they'll get their machine going. We just need
but
to
you'll
know
hear
how we
from
fit
Judith, you'll
in.
hear from Judith, and I'm sure,
The article in the ARC.
that, yeah, well, so let's take it back then, from March 19th. What is it? May 19th, May, April, March. So, March 26th is pretty much right there. I think we can have a draft of an article for the ARC by March 26th. That shouldn't be too bad, and I'm sure Francisco would be happy to work with us, work with the,
He's got all his materials. I mean, his presentation is beautiful.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just a matter of exactly getting the copy from, him or whatever and using some of it.
Or interview Judith.
But I'll mention that as well.
just remember, if you need any special meetings, let us know. All the ad hocs. If you need to discuss on something.
Yeah, tell us.
Tell us something important or you need that, please let us know. Let me know and then we can.
So, well, we just,
Otherwise, March 26th is our next meeting here.
and so,
So
But
now
yet-
is the adjourned.
Thank you.
so we'll just wait to hear from you. And then we three. will
Yeah,
meet.
I'll let you know once.